The significance of the construction industry in the attainment of a nation's quest for development serves valuable functions in the society that vary according to social need. This is evident in the fact that every individual, business or services of diverse kinds must have a shelter and a location in the environment. Sadly, the housing stock that does exist in Nigeria is expensive when compared to local household income. How can the high cost of housing construction be addressed in the country? This is Housing Development. We will discuss housing, affordability, and accessibility. As always, I am Flora Ani, your housing diva. Let's see the news making waves in the sector.
The Acting Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, has raised concerns about the Nigerian Army's limited resources amidst rising personnel recruitment. He disclosed that the Army enlists approximately 15,000 personnel annually but lacks adequate support for providing accommodation for its growing ranks. Speaking during a condolence visit by the Senate Committee on Army, led by Senator Abdulaziz Musa Yaradua, Oluyede emphasized the urgent need for improved funding to address the Army's housing and operational challenges. The Army Chief appealed to the National Assembly to prioritize critical issues affecting the military in the upcoming budget, including accommodation and technological advancements to enhance operations. The Housing Development Advocacy Network, HDAN, has commended the federal government for its 250 billion naira commitment to addressing Nigeria's housing deficit. This was highlighted during HDAN's visit to the Ministry of Finance Incorporated, MOFI, where the organization expressed confidence in the ministry's readiness to transform the housing sector. During the visit, HDAN observed MOFI's robust plans to tackle both the demand and supply challenges in the sector. The company displayed a deep understanding of the complexities of housing development, including strategies such as leveraging the capital markets to secure funding for large-scale projects. However, HDAN noted that MOFI's approach aligns with its own advocacy goals, which over the years they have been promoting through its parent organization, the Africa International Housing Show. In a bid to gain insights and explore cutting-edge strategies for sustainable real estate development, the Lagos State Real Estate Regulatory Authority, LASRERA, is inviting the general public to its 5th Lagos Real Estate Marketplace Conference and Exhibition at the Eko Hotel and Suites, Victoria Island, Lagos, with the theme Reimaging the Lagos Landscape, ensuring sustainable real estate development practices.
Dear Lagosians, today more than ever, the need for sustainable real estate development is crucial. As our cities grow and evolve, the choices we make now will shape the future for generations to come. From eco-friendly building materials to energy-efficient designs, sustainable practices not only reduce environmental impact, but also enhance community well-being and long-term value. I, on behalf of the Lagos State Real Estate Regulatory Authority, LASRERA, proudly invite you to the 5th Lagos Real Estate Marketplace Conference and Exhibition, the ultimate platform for innovation, connection and transformation in the real estate sector. This year's theme is Reimaging Lagos State Landscape, ensuring sustainable real estate development practices. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to engage with industry leaders, decision makers, visionaries and stakeholders in the real estate sector, shaping Lagos real estate market. Be the change, be the future. See you there. LASRERA, real estate, real easy.
To read the full details of the news, do well to visit www.africanhousingnews.com. You're watching Housing Development. Stakeholders from across the building and construction industry have called for urgent and effective measures to tackle the persistent issue of building collapse in Nigeria. This demand was made during a conference organized by the Standards Organization of Nigeria in Abuja, which brought together key players in the sector to deliberate on improving standards and ensuring structural safety.
Stakeholders from across the building and construction industry have called for urgent and effective measures to tackle the persistent issue of building collapse in Nigeria. This demand was made during an interview in Abuja where key players in the sector spoke on improving standards and ensuring structural safety. They said it is important to foster collaboration among regulators, professionals and artisans to address challenges such as substandard materials, inadequate enforcement of building codes, and quackery in construction practices.
Most times, honestly, one asks, when things happen, one asks that, where is Standard Organization of Nigeria in all of this? If you go about all our building materials markets today, you discover that what you find out there are much more substandard material, such that, these substandard materials are even now being taken for granted that, okay, it's the normal. The Standard Organization of Nigeria is now talking about the need for us to adhere to standard practices in the industry, especially in the building industry. Honestly, it cannot come at a better time than this. And I believe that if SON will actually wake up to their responsibility, we see that it will help to address majority of the problem or challenges that we are having as concerns building collapse in the country.
Actually, generally in life, we talk about safety. When you talk about safety, you talk about doing the right thing at the right time. When we want to build, you need to have a competent designer who actually will do, before embarking on the design, we do environmental impacts to know how the land is and how suitable it is. And after that, when you are going to choose somebody to build for you, you need to pick people who are professionally qualified. For instance, in Koren, we are the one that regulate engineering in all ramifications. And we have the Cobon people who are actually builders. So you don't pick from the road. When you pick from the road, you will actually have a problem with yourself. Maybe probably you engage the quacks. And apart from that, the material procurement has to be well tested. That is why SON, they are involved in testing of material that come from abroad and even that come from actually Nigeria.
Key stakeholders in the industry also addressed the role of proper design and the use of locally appropriate construction methods. They highlighted the prevalence of substandard building materials in the market and called for the enforcement of building regulations and tougher penalties for non-compliance.
The building collapse is like an industrial process. And each process, if it's not carried out properly, you discover that you have a defect. And this defect can lead to building collapse. Now you are talking about enforcement. Enforcement is a collective responsibility. Government alone cannot withstand that. Despite the fact that government is in charge of making laws. The National Assembly makes laws and so on and so forth. But as you make law, are you making the materials available? Do you have an alternative? Are you into the M&E? What I mean, monitoring and evaluation. Are you into the training components? So building collapse has a lot of process involved. Enforcement by government alone will not stop it. There are quite a lot of factors.
Builder Samson Opaloa, chairman of the Council of Registered Builders of Nigeria, Cobon, reiterated the council's commitment to tackling the issue.
Let me say that buildings don't collapse on paper. But buildings are, a building is a multi-stakeholder activity. That is to say that so many stakeholders are involved, so many professionals are involved. And as we begin to prioritize the expertise that each professional possesses and utilize it appropriately, the story will change. And we have moved even beyond the training of the tertiary artisans, tertiary professionals. We've gone down to the tactical artisans and technicians. We have begun to train them to license them, and to certify them. And we are going beyond that to all those who have acquired some form of competencies in different methods and areas. We are bringing them under what we call the recognition of prior learning, so that we assess them, know what they are capable of doing, know what they lack, and give to them what they lack so that they can be more competent.
Meanwhile, they called for the government's commitment to enforce standards and improve the quality of building materials in the country.
Welcome back. Nigeria is currently facing a severe housing crisis characterized by a staggering deficit and escalating costs that affect millions of citizens. The housing sector in Nigeria faces issues of low purchasing power among households, high construction costs, and inadequate housing supply to keep up with population growth. What is the way forward to mitigate the housing crisis? Let's listen to these housing stakeholders.
Housing is a social right. However, considering the limitations that we are in today, government themselves cannot provide all of their housing. Housing supply is more on the informal side than on the formal side, and the reason is simple. On the formal side, the housing are not so affordable. Let's take the Renewed Cities project. One bedroom unit of accommodation in the Renewed City project cost about 21 million naira, or about 22 million naira. Now the thing is, how many of us, how many ordinary Nigerians, how many persons, young persons like myself, are able to afford 22 million naira, okay, to either pay incrementally or outright buy? So these are the things. So government needs to go back and look at housing from a social lens rather than from a business angle.
I told the minister and the member of parliament that they need to invest on social housing scheme for all. And we are looking at 3 pillars. The first pillar is accessibility, livability, and affordability. According to the UN mandate, between now and 2030, we expect that no one should be in this world without a roof in their head, without a home to call their own, without a place to sleep. And that is why we are promoting issues of urbanization, leaving no one behind. That is the mandate of the UN Habitat, leaving no one behind. Affordable housing, livable housing, and affordability. So we want to see the government of Nigeria putting resources in terms of sustainable housing for all. They can build small housing scheme, 1 bedroom self-contained, for workers, for students, and for people from the informal sector.
All the days, all the years, we are copycats. I'm talking about Africans. We copy because it looks beautiful. We don't copy because it suits our own environment, right? So the first option is that we should begin to believe in ourselves. Before the Yoruba people came, we were building and they were not collapsing. Why don't we research into the building materials used by our forefathers and of course improve on them? I want to believe that if we do that, it will of course make it affordable, because initially we just, people will excavate the ground. Of course they know how to choose their site for the excavation, pull the substructure, pull them up, mold them into local blocks and build with them. There are some in the north that build with a mixture of cow dungs. It has its own strength. So my thinking is that we should research into our local environment and then make use of what is available. But of course, improvement in technology, it will be better than what we are doing now.
Attention, Africa. The most anticipated event in the housing sector is here, the Africa Housing Awards. It's time to celebrate the people, projects, and companies that are transforming African housing. Nominate your favorites and let their achievements be recognized across the continent. Who do you think has made the biggest impact in affordable housing, sustainable design, and innovation? Now's your chance to make your choice heard. Visit www.africahousingawards.com today and nominate your preferred winners. Show your support for those making a difference in the housing industry. The Africa Housing Awards, celebrating excellence in housing across Africa. Nominate now.
It's good news. Are you a stakeholder in the built environment, or you are looking for an authentic, credible source for housing and construction news in Africa? You now have an opportunity. Africa International Housing Show has now created a unique opportunity for you by establishing a full-fledged housing television, the first of its kind in Africa. You can now access information on home ownership, rental, building materials, finance, real estate and insurance, among others, all on Housing TV Africa, channel 149 on StarTimes.
For Nigeria's real estate sector to flourish, the government must create an enabling environment that incentivizes investment, reforming policies, particularly the outdated Land Use Act of 1978 is crucial. By simplifying the land acquisition process and decentralizing land administration, Nigeria can reduce bureaucratic delays, attracting more investors. Comprehensive housing policies that prioritize affordable housing, slum upgrades and sustainable urban planning could encourage public-private partnerships and support developers focused on low-income housing. That said, I will be back shortly.
Hi, I'm Bob Weinsheng, CEO of iBuild Global, and keep watching the Housing Development Program.
We don't have road, and you see at times if it is raining, you will see a lot of people will go by the roadside. They'll be thrown dirt on the main road. We also doesn't have toilet. You will see a toilet, you will see up to 30 tenants, they are using one. You can't leave your door open, go out and buy something. Before you will know, Babambola will enter. By the time you will take them to police station, 1 hour is too much, the police people will release them. In fact, we don't know what is happening.
This is the situation with many citizens in not just Nigeria. Are we ready for this conversation? What is the plight of an average Nigerian citizen in regards to housing? Housing is a fundamental human right, and these issues must be addressed.
Move to further strengthen the synergy and collaboration between the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, FMBN, with the Nasarawa State Government. The Deputy Governor of Nasarawa State, Dr. Emmanuel A. Akabi, paid a courtesy visit to the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria at the bank's headquarters in Abuja. This collaboration between Nasarawa State and the FMBN has yielded remarkable results positively, impacting the lives of many of the state's citizens through various FMBN schemes and initiatives. Delivering his opening remarks, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, Shehu Osidi, expressed his profound gratitude to the Deputy Governor of Nasarawa State and his delegation for their visit to the bank.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as a true ambassador of Nasarawa State, this visit, I must say, is not just a courtesy call. It is a sort of homecoming for Your Excellency and your delegation, given our shared bond and as brothers and sisters and proud citizens of Nasarawa State. Your Excellency, I must also affirm that your presence here today not only reflects your commitment to deepen our common brotherhood, but it also shows your determination to foster the collaboration between Nasarawa State and the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria. Through the unwavering support of His Excellency, Engineer Abdullahi A. Sule, who is providing focused leadership and upscaling the potentials available in Nasarawa State. Through the National Housing Fund Scheme, we have disbursed housing loans to numerous beneficiaries. Under our home renovation loan window, we have advanced 7.7 billion naira to 8,754 indigenes of Nasarawa State, while 105 NHF beneficiaries recently emerged as homeowners in the state under our rent-to-own scheme, with mortgages in the sum of 666 million naira.
I want to thank you for all the interventions that you brought into Nasarawa State, particularly with our workers and the other citizens of the state. We cannot thank you enough. And I'm also happy to let you know that the Renew Hope Housing Estate in Lafayette is coming out very well. And we're hoping that Nassau will be the first state to complete the Renew Hope Housing Estate. In Nassau we borrowed that leaf. And now all the government houses in Nassau State have passed a law that occupiers of those houses are now going to own them. So we've started the owner-occupier policy in Nassau State, and a lot of the civil servants who are there living in those houses really do not have the money at once to pay for them. I remember when it happened in the FCT at that time, there was a program then where the civil servants had access to some mortgage facilities in Abuja that could pay for them so they can own them. Our idea here is that these guys would own their houses. Whatever money we get from it, we'll reinvest it into building more houses. I'm probably now going to collaboration with Federal Mortgage Bank to see how we can also get more houses for more civil servants to own.
I heard you loud and clear, and I can assure you, sir, that we are going to support this government in supporting your agenda for the welfare of the workers of Nassau State. The owner-occupier policy that you talked about, interestingly, we have experienced it before as an institution. When the federal government sale of government houses was done, it was actually the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria that floated a bond to raise money to finance that transaction. So it is an area that we are very familiar with, and I can assure you that by the grace of God, we will provide funding for the off-takers of the owner-occupier housing estate.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Oh,
Huh? What is it again?
Oga, and they drive this car, my mind no dey. My landlord is on my neck.
Your landlord again? I thought I have told you this before. Get a mortgage, register with NHF scheme, and get a home up front. What is so difficult about this?
Oga, I will do just that. See, I will shame that my landlord. Mortgage.
At the Federal Mortgage Bank of Nigeria, everyone deserves a home.
The moment we've all been waiting for is fast approaching. This is more than an event. It is a recognition of the visionaries shaping the future of housing across the continent. Are you ready to be part of history? Mark your calendars. The countdown is on. Africa Housing Awards is where excellence meets opportunity. Visit the website on your screen for more details. See you there.
Hey Africa, ready to crown the champions of housing? Time for Africa Housing Award. Who's got the best design, the greatest home, the most affordable spaces? You decide. Nominate your favorites and let's shine the spotlight on the best in African housing. Whether it's a big brand, a bold project, or a fresh idea, we want to hear from you. So go on, show some love. Nominate now. Head on to AfricaHousingAwards.com and nominate your picks today. Let's celebrate those changing the game in African housing.
For many low-income families, a house is more than just a shelter. It gives them the opportunity to work out of the comfort of their space and change their lives for the better. Stable, affordable housing is critical to breaking the circle of poverty. A decent home opens the door to improved health, better performance in school, greater economic opportunities, and increased community cohesion. On that note, I wrap up today's episode of Housing Development. Thanks for watching. I remain Flora Ani, your Housing Diva. See you soon.